Severe weather outbreak across the country. Heavy rains and strong winds, at least 17 tornadoes reported, damaging hail too. And this morning, more storms are heading south. Ginger here with the latest. Hey, Ginger.
Hey there, George. We are in the midst of the most active severe weather outbreak so far this year. Anywhere from Nebraska to Kentucky, even Central California, feeling it this morning.
Ah! Get us out of here!
Tornadoes spinning from California to Kentucky.
It's a tornado. It is. It's coming down fast.
In Stanislaus County, California, drivers rushing to avoid the whirlwind storms. In Iowa,
wow, huge tornado.
That is a tornado on the ground right there. Tornado on the ground.
the storms unleashing twisters, in some cases even two at a time.
There it is, right above us.
Recklessly slinging debris. This one rotating through central Illinois. Another hitting southeastern Nebraska.
Holy
swirling perilously close to homes.
That's a legit tornado.
In Omaha, hail smothering the roads.
Most of it golf ball size. Pretty difficult to even walk out here. It's like walking on roller skates.
And across the state line in Missouri, this explosive supercell churning out a tornado so fierce it blew out the windows of this church. So for later today and this evening, this is what we have to look out for. That spring pattern, that positively tilted trough, a new low pressure system in northern Texas, parts of southwestern Oklahoma, just southwest Oklahoma City, have the potential for strong winds and hail. Could see an isolated tornado, but it looks like mostly damaging winds at this one. And then with that same storm that created all the issues, much of North Carolina going to see the severe weather again throughout today. So this is something to look for, not only that new storm in the west, but of course right here along the east coast.
Within the past few weeks, there have been earthquakes in Ecuador and Japan. Those occurred on the Ring of Fire. It's a horseshoe-shaped string of more than 450 volcanoes around the Pacific Ocean. It spans more than 3 continents and is an indication of just how unstable the ground is. The city of San Francisco is along the boundary, leading many there to be concerned about their next big earthquake. CCTV's Mark New has insight.
It's the stuff Hollywood dramas are made of. The 2015 action film San Andreas shook global audiences with scenes from a monster quake that destroys big chunks of LA and San Francisco. In 1906, 80% of San Francisco was destroyed in a 7.8 magnitude earthquake.
Can you feel that?
And in 1989, 63 people died in one measuring 6.9.
There's a hell of an earthquake.
You see all the merchants, all the stuff falling off. I remember my mom holding a Buddha, my wife holding 3 kids on the back. That's not well prepared. Then from there on, I think we better prepare for it.
Emergency.
When the 1989 quake struck, Tom Hoy was on the second day of his new job at the Building Inspection Department. Today, as director, he spearheads a mandatory program to retrofit more than 5,000 soft-story buildings, ones with wood frames and at least 3 stories and 5 units.
You can do the seismic upgrade the whole building, but the cost will be so much, and then the tenant will be, displacement is another concern. That's why we determined only do ground floor to strengthen it, then prevent the collapse of the ground floor like the '89 earthquake.
That spurred into action contractors like John Pollard, who shows me details of the ground floor retrofitting for this 8-unit building, which has 3 floors above.
See this area right here? This is called the dog ear. So we sculpt out this on the steel right there to actually not make it too strong. What we want to do is be able to have the building bend. If we keep it really thick, then the building will start to snack and crackle. It's not that difficult, it's just time and money. I mean, there's a lot of components. People think, oh, you're just throwing up plywood. But as you can see, it's not. It's a 2x6 wall, there's a double top plate, we've got electrical, we've got plumbing going through it. We've got clips, so believe it or not, each one of these walls costs us $4,000 or $5,000.
As the retrofitting takes place, the owner of this building has also decided to clear out the garage and storage space here and add 4 new units. That will generate extra cash flow that could help offset the cost of retrofitting in the long run.
We have 10 years of work, so we currently have about 35 projects going at the same time.
Innovation is also connecting seismology to Silicon Valley tech. Ross Stein, a 34-year veteran of the U.S. Geological Survey, has helped create Tembler, a mobile web app that calculates the seismic risk of your precise address. It shows nearby faults, risk of quake damage, liquefaction and landslide potential, and supplies you with a cost-benefit analysis of retrofitting.
If you do it because you have to do it as cheaply as possible, right? And you wait as long as possible until you absolutely have to do it, like our taxes. So the alternative is to say, look, most of us have our biggest investment in our homes, and the most precious people on earth to us live in those homes. So we want to keep our families safe, and we want to keep our principal investments sound.
Tembler even shows us that in San Francisco, the entire financial district and an area booming with tech startups called Soma are built on fill that provides no stability during an earthquake.
Have they been aware of that?
Oblivious. Yes. We all tend to ignore the earthquake peril. You know, ask yourself this. When were you at a bar where you saw the liquor bottles being restrained so they wouldn't fly off in an earthquake? If you go to Japan, you can't find a bar that does not restrain its alcohol bottles.
Stein says city infrastructure upgrades since 1989 are at best half of what's necessary. Part of the reason is that higher magnitude quakes have not hit California in recent years, lulling people into complacency about precautions that could save their lives. Mark New, CCTV, San Francisco.
Next tonight here, living on the edge in one community where families and retirees had no idea until the earth underneath began to give way. Tonight, the fight over who's responsible now. Here's ABC's Clayton Sandell from Colorado.
After record-setting rainfall in Colorado Springs last summer, cracks began appearing in Catherine and Rick Sisko's yard. They've now grown to this.
Where you once had a yard, you now have a canyon.
Yes.
An investigation by the Denver Post found that for 2 decades, geologists warned the city of Colorado Springs and developers about the danger of building homes in potential landslide zones. Warnings that over time were allegedly ignored.
This house was built in 1964. The Siskos bought it in 2010. They say they had no idea their dream retirement home was in danger of a landslide until about 10 months ago when the ground started to fall away.
So far, at least 30 houses have damage, but thousands more may be at risk. The city says all building regulations were followed, but it is now reviewing whether those regulations need to be toughened. To know if your home is at risk, experts recommend getting your property evaluated by a geologist. And think about extra insurance. Most policies, including the Siskos, do not cover landslides.
It's an act of God, and you can't blame anyone.
Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Colorado Springs.
Yeah, we actually saw a friend of ours posted some pictures on Facebook, so we thought it's not something you see every day, so we thought we'd come pay our respects.
We drove from Bristol to come down and see the whale.
Kind of had a lot of questions, like how did it get there, and what do you do with it now? Like, do you study it? Do they burn it? Do they leave it there?
It's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. It doesn't smell as bad.
We did miss the end of school, but I figure that this is school in action. I brought them down to just pay respect to the whale and also to learn. It's very scientific. It's not every day that you have a whale that washes up onto your beach, and there's a lot that we can learn from these majestic creatures.
The second we had seen that it was down here, we woke up this morning, older brother came by and was like, let's go check it out. I was like, let's do it. Its size, really how big it is when you're standing next to it. Like I said, right now the odors also is something amazing. You don't smell that quite often, but its size is amazing.